Hello everyone. Once again, we are back on Pushpalata LearnEd Live for Knowledge Series. Happy evening. This is Jude Deva from Pushpalata Vidya Mandir on Pushpalata LearnEd Live for Knowledge Series. I welcome everyone on behalf of Pushpalata Schools. We hope that all are safe and fine with good health. Stay safe and stay healthy. Today, we have a different personality, an expert, a quiz master, a molecular biologist, a music enthusiast, and an author, all in one, Mr. Berty Ashley. Let me start with one of his favorite quote from Werner von Braun. Research is what I'm doing when I don't know what I'm doing. Berty Ashley was born and brought up in the ancient Tamil city of Madurai. He is now a molecular genetic at the Dystrophy Annihilation Research Trust. He works with the fundamental molecules of life, DNA, and is currently working on a therapy for those suffering from genetic disorders. Berty is also the research associate for Science Gallery Bengaluru, which is the only Asian division of the Global Science Gallery Network, which works on igniting the creativity and discovery where art and science collide. When he is not busy doing his research and write grants, he can be usually seen at a concert or at a quiz. In the popular TV quiz show, Ningalum Velalam Orukodi, he is the senior content editor. He is the author of many quiz books, including Quizzes for Quirky Minds, which became a bestseller on Amazon in its category. Berty and his partner Akila Padnas have gone on to co-author a series of 7 quiz books on various themes for Rupa Publications. Hello, sir.
Hello.
Yeah, happy to have you on our live session.
It is absolutely a pleasure and an honor to be here.
Yeah, on behalf of Pushpalata Schools, I thank you for accepting our invitation first.
How can I say no? It's one of my favorite schools in Tirunelveli. Actually, one of my
Thank you
favorite
so
schools
much.
in South India.
Okay, that was good. How are you, sir? Hope you are fine.
Yes, we are good. I am in my lab. I am
Okay,
in Bangalore and thankfully safe, sound, and sanitized.
okay, good. And our students and viewers are waiting for your words on the topic, the spirit of inquiry. You can take over the session now, sir.
Thank you, Jude. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Hi everyone. Hi students. I'm guessing I've met a lot of you before. If not, my name is Berty Ashley, and well, you just got the intro from whatever Jude said. Thank you so much, Jude. That was a lovely introduction. So let me go straight to where we are. So now, as a good researcher, I have done my homework and I have done a PPT. Yes, we have a PowerPoint. So don't worry, you don't have to keep looking at my face. So you have something else to look at. So let's start with sharing the screen. Jude, just let me know if you can see the full screen and if everything's fine. And we are good
Yes,
to
sure.
go. Do you see the full screen?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I could see the full screen. Yeah, it's good.
Excellent. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and children of all ages, let's start with the spirit of inquiry. Now, this is a topic that I would like to talk about. And what is the spirit of inquiry? So, the spirit of inquiry is a persistent sense of curiosity that informs both learning and practice. Okay? It's everything that you have been curious about, you have to be curious about, right? And that's what is curiosity. And when you have a spirit of inquiry, it leads to evidence based answers. And that's what we do here in the lab. We look for evidence based answers, empirically write data. And that is what's going to lead you forward. Now, obviously, the question is, you're all students, why are we talking about this here? Now, there are 4 different types of inquiry. Confirmation inquiry, open inquiry, structured inquiry, and guided inquiry. Okay. Now, inquiry is just asking questions. Okay. So what is confirmation, open, structured, and guided inquiry? So let's go with confirmation inquiry first. So you are given a question, the answer, and the method for reaching the answer. You have to use your critical thinking and your investigation skills in learning how this method works. That is confirmation inquiry. So you have a question and you have an answer. You have to confirm that answer using your thinking. For example, the question is the earth flat or round? And the answer is the earth is round. You have to use your skills, your knowledge, and your ability to grasp information to prove that. So all you have to do is confirm. So the easiest way is obviously to go to a high place like a hill, or you can go on a plane or something and look at the curvature of the earth. That's easy. Or if you are able to put a little more effort, you can go into space and you can see physically that the earth is round. So that is confirmation inquiry. 2, open inquiry. You pose an original question and you investigate through your own methods, presenting your results to expand your knowledge base through discussion. So in this case, you don't have a confirmed answer, right? You have your own original question and you have to figure out your own way. For example, let's come up with a nice question. What does the fox say? Okay, it's not original. It was a very famous question from a song from 2 years back. But then it's a question and I have to investigate it through my own method. So I can go track a fox. I can find somebody who has a fox, or I can go to the zoo and look at a fox and with a microphone in my hand and a recorder, wait for the fox and say, Mr. Fox, what do you have to say? Can you say something, please? Hello, Mr. Fox. And whenever this fox makes its sound, what does the fox say? And then you talk to people, say, okay, listen, I found out a fox makes this sound. That is an open inquiry. Structured inquiry. You're given an open question and an investigation method. And you have to use that method to create an evidence-based conclusion. Now, in the previous method, in open inquiry, you could do whatever you want. You could go to the zoo. You could, go catch a fox, which is wrong, by the way. Don't do that. In this, you are given a particular method of investigation. And you're told that this is the method you have to follow in that way so that you can answer that question. Now, this, for example, let me just move this around, is an example of what we do. So this is the molecular formula for certain molecules. We need to get there. So how we get there is through a proper, something called standard operating protocol, SOP. And using that, we get an answer and then we get the evidence to the conclusion in reverse order. And finally, you have guided inquiry. Now, guided inquiry is that when you have somebody to guide you in your investigation methods, and then you reinforce the problem-solving skills to reach a conclusion to an open question, right? Now, guided inquiry is pretty much what happens in schools, colleges, and universities. Well, technically, they happen a lot more in schools than it happens in colleges and universities, but it is the most efficient way of instilling knowledge in young minds, like students in schools, college, and universities. So that is called guided inquiry. Now, let's talk about what does inquiry, the spirit of inquiry, do to us, right? What does it do to us? It readies the brain for learning. Now, as you can see in this GIF, there are neurons in our brain and each gets flared up, right? So this is because the piquing of your curiosity through any activity prepares your brain for learning through intellectual stimulation. Now, this has been proved time and time again. Your brain, if it was not active for a long period of time, it does not form enough amount of neural impulses to gather new information, right? Now, this is why you have something called refresher courses. This is why in the starting of the school year, they make sure that it's not too much work. So you don't, your brain has been taking rest for some time. Well, in the pandemic, it's been taking a rest for a long amount of time. That's why you have to get your brain ready to get new knowledge. And being curious and the spirit of inquiry helps you get ready. Okay. Second, cognitive skills. Through inquiry-based learning, you can build your comprehension, critical thinking, and communication skills. And continuous use of your cognitive skills helps not only in class, dear students, but in day-to-day life for everybody who is watching. If you're not a student, it would still help you. That's why it's very important to have inquiry-based learning. It also helps deepen your understanding because it helps you make connections about what you learn. It helps you gain a deeper understanding of topics and content instead of just primarily memorizing and recalling rules, ideas, or formula. Now, I studied in the ICSE, ISE stream, and this was a very important part of our curriculum. We were taught not to just memorize things, or as you say in Tamil Nadu, mugging up. I never quite understood how that term came up. Like, no, take a mug and mug up. Oh, by the way, this is coffee. Very good coffee. So, it's very important that you understand a process, and you understand a process better by making the connections of things that you learn, right? Ownership. By having a proper sense of curiosity and a spirit of inquiry, it helps you explore topics of interest to you, thereby reinforcing autonomy in learning. Now, the use of open questions promote you to utilize your own methods and thinking styles to solve problems, putting you at the center of the experience. Let's go back to that example I gave of finding out of what does the fox say. A question posed by the great Ylvis. Now, the thing is this. If you were to just go online and Google what does the fox say, first thing will be the song, you might actually get a YouTube link of a fox making a sound, or somebody having a video of a fox making a sound. But then that doesn't make you the owner of that data. It doesn't mean that you have discovered it. So you can't say, I discovered that. But let's say you go out into the field with the microphone, you stay throughout the night, finally find one fox, just come out of its burrow, and you record it, and you have the sound. That is your discovery. That is a piece of information and data that you own, which makes it very, very important that you are at the center of the experience. Now, this feeling of ownership of certain data, the feeling of knowing that you are responsible for the knowledge that you have acquired is really, really important. And it's quite powerful, right? And once you have that power of knowledge, the power of data, and knowing that you have owned it, that is pretty unbeatable, okay? And that will come through only if you're curious. And you're curious to go through whatever it takes, however long it takes, to get to that answer that you so much want. Also, here's the thing. If you just Google what does the fox say, you will get the sound, that's done. But let's say you take ownership of that question and say, okay, Google, where can I find a fox in Tirunelveli? And you find one place which says there's a fox. So you go there. But while you're waiting overnight, you listen to other animals as well, like a squirrel or a badger or a monitor lizard, that udumbu. Now, that's a good question. What sound does an udumbu make? Nobody knows. But here's the thing. Because you did this research yourself and you got there, you're listening to other bits of information which you did not know was there, right? And this helps you to learn far more than what you would have learned if you had just done a Google search. And that came about because of your innate curiosity, right? Engagement. The active learning method, the method of learning, it encourages you to immerse yourself into the learning process. Okay, you can explore different topics, you can make connections, ask questions, and learn more effectively as you reach your conclusions. Now, this is one of the main things that I miss about being in school, because in school you have your staff, you have your teachers, you have your library, you have all these mentors, your seniors who are ready to help you whenever you have a doubt, right? I can understand how you feel right now, because you're sitting at home and all you have is the internet and whatever few books you have access to at home. But when you have engagement with your resources, there's nothing like that to help you immerse into a subject. I remember a long time back when I got interested in the 7 wonders of the world. And it was a very simple thing to just, at that time, obviously you could just Google 7 wonders of the world, you'll get it. But no, I wanted to know where the 7 wonders of the world were, who came up with that, why is it there? And I remember going through GK books, asking my history teacher. I ended up asking my chemistry teacher and lots of things. And after about a day full of engagement with books, with people, with various people, I discovered that the Greeks were the first one to do it. And the reason the first 7 wonders of the world were there in one place is because it was in all the places that the Greeks had traveled, so on and so forth. Now, the entire process is what is important, of engaging yourself with the knowledge. It's not about just going and Googling what are the 7 wonders of the world, right? It's simple. And it's not going to take a long amount of time to get it, write it down, and you have your answer. But no, there has to be engagement. And a school provides that mode of engagement. But right now, when you are at home and you only have this, how do you stay engaged? By having the spirit of inquiry, by not just going to Wikipedia, by going to various other sources, starting off with Britannica, or at least going to the references that are below your Wikipedia page, right? Like, let's say the pharaohs of Alexandria, or let's say something that all of us know, the Taj Mahal. So there is a Wikipedia article on the Taj Mahal. You go down, and then somewhere in the middle it says the Taj Mahal is built on the banks of the river Yamuna, and there's another building called the Black Taj Mahal or something. And you're like, oh, that's interesting. Click on that. Then at the bottom it says that this was given an archaeological ASI mark. Then you're like, what is an ASI? If you go to Wikipedia, then ASI will have a blue color link, and that's a hyperlink. You click on it, and it goes to the Archaeological Survey of India. You would figure out that the ASI is something like the UNESCO of India. You learn something new, and you get engaged, and you get to know what those things are. So your level of engagement in your spirit of inquiry comes from the fact that you are engaged in the process of learning. So it enhances cooperative learning. This is another thing that I miss in school, but also nowadays we have various things like WhatsApp and Telegram, which helps you to cooperate and work cooperating with everybody. So you learn transferable skills, which reinforce initiative and self-direction. You learn how to ask questions, discuss topics, collaborate on assignments, cooperate with each other, and reach your own conclusions. This is just like your school project where about 4 or 5 of you get together. If there's a school project and there's only one person who's doing the project, his or her views are going to be quite narrow and going to be, this is what I want to do, this is where I'm going. If you have more than 3 or 4 people, there's going to be different views. By the way, that is the point. You are going to have different views if you put even 3 people who are best friends together. You and another human being will never ever have the same set of views throughout your entire span of life. That is impossible. Most of the differences in the world come because of people's different set of views. But you have to learn to honor, respect, and listen to another person's views. And that bit of cooperative learning is what makes it a much more, it's a very treasure. I really treasure the moments I had a school project when I had my friends around. Not even necessarily friends, it can be enemies also. I have learned more from the people I never thought I would talk to, I swore I would never talk to, than I have learned from my best friends. My best friends learn more from me. If you're watching this, we'll talk about this later. Anyway, so here's my point. It is very important that you cooperate and your spirit of inquiry goes to say, what does my friend think about it? What do you guys think about it? You shouldn't say, this is what I think, this is my project. You should say, hey guys, what do you think about this? Give me your inputs, give me your ideas. And I am asking you for your opinion and I value that opinion. So that's very important. Now, we are going to talk about the inquiry cycle. So this is a lovely paper which I found by Leo Casey, who's from Ireland, Dublin. He is for the Center for Research and Innovation, Learning and Teaching. And let me read this out. The inquiry circle describes learning in terms of a continuous dynamic of ask, investigate, create, discuss, and reflect. And of all of these five, ask has a privileged place. Ask is the act of questioning. Questions are the root of inquiry. They initiate, sustain, and invigorate each aspect of the process. Questions direct investigation, drive creativity, stimulate discussion, and are the bedrock of reflection. A lot of times the questions I get is, how did you get into quizzing? As a child, how did you get into quizzing? It's because of this, the inquiry cycle. Now, I have just sent this link to my mom in my house WhatsApp group, and she's watching. So if you ask my Amma and Appa, they will tell you that I was a very, very curious kid. I kept asking questions. Amma, idu ennadu? Amma, ennadu? Appa, idu? Appa, eppadi pannom? Idu eppadi pannom? So I was one of those very annoying kids who used to keep asking questions about everything. But I really appreciate the fact that my mom and dad took time out to answer those questions. And the same thing, my grandma and granddad too. I grew up with my maternal grandparents, and they had a bunch of books, National Geographic and Encyclopedia. And I remember so many times going and asking my grandmother when I was like about 4, 5 years old, Amma, what is Darama? That's my grandma. Darama, what is that? What is that ant doing? She wouldn't say, oh, that's just an ant, leave it. No, she'd be like, oh, okay, that ant is a soldier ant. It is looking for a place to hide so that the rest of the colony can come. Keep some sugar on top, it won't eat it. It'll take the sugar and go back to its colony to tell its friends, hey guys, I found food, let's go there. You know, stuff like that, right? And I got it because I asked. And then I didn't just go away. I investigated. I'm like, right, let's find out where the ant is going, where the ant is. Then I had to create. I remember once my best friend, Kanchan, okay, I call her best friend. I don't know what she calls me, but she is my best friend according to me. We built an ant colony so that we could learn about this. I think we were about 6 or 7 years old, and we had a box, and we had made a small system where the ants used to go. We used to feed them, and we used to watch them grow. And we created a colony for the ants. And we used to discuss about it, like every day. Oh, did you see? I think we named those ants, and also we talked about it. At the end of it, we reflected on it. We were like, okay, so what did we learn from these ants? What do you think can we get, like these huge Homo sapiens, humans, what do we learn from those tiny ants? Everything from being cooperative to not being selfish to go out and looking out for the community. You can learn so much. I'm not going to tell you all those things because I want you to be curious and find it out for yourself. So this is the inquiry cycle, right? If there's, I'm sure there are staff watching. Post this, please feel free to ping me. I can give you these papers. I'm more than happy to share the resources I have. Okay, now, all those who have attended my talks at Pushpalata School know that I have a huge love for quotes. So let's see this. I have no particular talent. I am merely inquisitive. Now, can you guess who said this quote? Yes, I said this quote right now. If you said Berty Ashley or you're not wrong. But there was a very famous person who said it before me. That person is Albert Einstein. Yes, this quote was told by the great physicist Albert Einstein. Okay? I have no particular talent. I am merely inquisitive. A very humble brag, #flex. He's got a Nobel Prize and everybody knows him, and he's got a multiple theories of which we are still trying to prove, and he puts it all down to being inquisitive. Deal with it. So, curiosity is the fuel for discovery, inquiry, and learning. So it is very important that you stay curious, you stay inquisitive, and let that curiosity take you to higher and higher levels. So, what is curiosity? Curiosity is basically just asking why, how, what, where, when, and who. All of you know this. These are as the great Siddharth Basu calls it, the 6 Chinese philosophers, because they sound like Chinese names. Who, what, when, where, and who. Yeah. So you ask these questions time and again. And that is how you become curious about the world. Well, not just the world, the universe around you, everything around you. Everything that you know right now, everything that you see right now, everything that you use right now exists because someone asked a question and someone was curious, right? Someone was curious long time back. The story goes that there was one shepherd who watched his flock of goats. Goats, flock, sheep? Okay, flock of goats eating from a particular plant and then skipping about and becoming not tired. So he got excited and he's like, what if I do the same thing? So he takes the same plant and takes the berries. It's really hard. So he has to boil it or something in water and he drinks a soup and he invents or discovers coffee because of that one guy who was curious. And I can't imagine life without my coffee, right? I literally live on coffee. If that shepherd had not been curious about what is making his goats jump about, his kids jump about, we wouldn't have had coffee, right? And I can't imagine someone like, for example, everything around me is plastic. Who was the curious fellow who realized, okay, let's make some good use of plastic? Everything that you see, everything that you see is because of somebody being curious about something in life. So stay curious and be curious. Now, how do you ready yourself for the future? I know it's a very tough question. I mean, there's this joke that everybody who got asked in 2015, like for example, when I was doing interviews in 2015, as an interviewer, one of the first questions or one of the last questions you ask is, where do you see yourself in 5 years' time? I am sure I've asked that question. If I've ever asked that question to anybody in 2015, I am really sorry. 2020, definitely we did not see where we would be at that time, which proves the words of my good friend Yoda, impossible to see the future is. So yes, you can't definitely tell how the future is going to be. It is true. But the future belongs to the curious. That I can assure you. If you're not curious, you're stuck in the past. As long as you're curious, you have a way to the future. By the way, the future belongs to the curious is not the full quote. The full quote is, the future belongs to the curious, the ones who are not afraid to try it, explore it, poke at it, question it, and turn it inside out. Right? So it doesn't, just being curious is not going to cut it. You have to act upon it. You have to carry out the cycle of inquiry. You have to investigate. You have to create. You have to put your effort into it and do what you want. Like, let's try one experiment right now. For example, let's say this pen. I'm curious, like, will it bounce if it hit the floor? I've never tried it before, right? Okay, we should try it out. Do you think it will bounce if you hit the floor? I don't know. Let's try it out. Okay, it didn't bounce. Okay, if my lab mates are watching, sorry, I will clean up the mess later. Well, it didn't bounce, so now I have to question it. Why didn't the pen bounce? I would know that it's made of plastic, it's not made of rubber, so it doesn't have the ability to bounce, right? If I dropped a pencil with the rubber at the bottom, probably it will bounce. That's it. So we have to try out different things. Oh, by the way, please, if you are near your mama or dad's table and they have an ink pen, don't try what I did just now. Okay, we do not want you causing a mess. Try with the ballpoint pen, not pencil, not pen. So there's a lovely quote I found in Tamil. ஆர்வம் இல்லாத செயல் அடியெடுத்து வைப்பின் பயனற்று பழுதடைவது நிச்சயமே. So if you are not curious, if you don't have the interest or the inquiry to continue what you have set yourself to do, to do a certain process, then this quote says that you are bound for failure. You have to be curious. You have to keep asking questions. You have to get into a process completely knowing that you will figure out everything there is and curious and asking questions. Otherwise, you are doomed to fail. There's a second reason why I chose the quote, because there's a picture of a coffee on it. Now, what does curiosity do? Curiosity is the engine of intellectual achievement. Intellectual achievements. What do you think are intellectual achievements? Everything that you see is intellectual achievement. The books are intellectual achievements. Science is an intellectual achievement. Every single invention or discovery is an intellectual achievement. And we got there because we were curious. You might have heard of all these serendipitous discoveries, people who discovered by chance. Let me tell you, it was not purely by chance. If the person who discovered or invented had not been curious, they wouldn't have been ready to face the answer. Let's take Louis Pasteur, for example, right? Any one of those great microbiologists and any one of those great earlier biotechnologists, they knew what they were doing, right? They didn't discover or invent out of chance and then fail to see the implications. They, like, for example, he could have chosen to get rid of the petri dish and not discover what was growing on it, and eventually discover our very first antibiotic. It could have just gone, oh, okay, this is fine, let's take. No. We discovered everything that we need to discover because of curiosity. And that is what drives intellectual achievement. And remember, there's far more to be discovered. There's far more to be invented. You have to be curious to get there. Now, nothing about curiosity. Oh, by the way, all these things I'm telling you, okay, do you know who this guy is? Of course you know. This is the Incredible Hulk. Now, a lot of people will probably ask, you're telling me all this, like what proof do you have? This is just a random PPT. Anybody can say what you're saying. But here's the thing. You know the Incredible Hulk? I am the credible. I always back up my rage with facts and documented sources. So this is the Credible Hulk, because it's a Hulk who has credibility. So this is the difference between Incredible Hulk and the Credible Hulk. How is that? I know what you're thinking. So what did I say? Curiosity is the engine of intellectual achievement. And how do we know this? Let me share this paper. So this is a paper by Matthias Gruber, Bernard Gellman, and Charan Ranganath from Neuron. That's the peer-reviewed journal. This came out in October 2014. It's called The States of Curiosity Modulate Hippocampus-Dependent Learning via the Dopaminergic Circuit. Very sciencey things, long sciencey words. Don't worry, you'll eventually understand. So here are the highlights of this. People are better at learning information that they are curious about. Memory for incidental material presented during curious states were also enhanced. Curiosity associated with anticipatory activity in nucleus accumbens and midbrain. Memory benefits for incidental material depend on mind-brain hippocampus involvement. Okay. To say it in non-sciencey things, those who are more curious about a topic tend to learn faster and better. You have a scientific paper that proves that. By the way, all these are available online. If not, please reach out to me. I'll be more than happy to share the paper with you. 2, curiosity defines social relationships. Now, curiosity is something that we value in all our friends. If they're curious about your life, they'll show more empathy, offer advice, and make an effort to keep things fun. Now, would you be friends with someone who doesn't care? Like if you had a friend who doesn't give you advice, who doesn't want to make things fun, who doesn't care about you, you wouldn't want to be their friend, would you? So that person, the other person, has to be innately curious about you. Like a friend is the guy on WhatsApp who will keep asking, hey, enna paathikiட்டு irukka? Did you see the match? What did you eat? Where did you eat? Why did you eat? Did your mom make it less spicy? Did your mom make it more spicy? if that WhatsApp group doesn't ping in the morning and say, bro, did you watch the show yesterday? Did you see that yesterday? Those are your friends because you're curious about knowing what. Like there are people in your class you might have not talked to forever. I don't think you'll consider them a friend, probably a classmate or acquaintance. A friend is someone who is completely curious in you. And that is very important because things are never quite as scary when you've got a best friend. When you have a friend who's also curious, who also knows that you are curious about him or her, that's a good relationship. Okay. And curiosity defines that social structure. How do we know this? Aha, I am the credible Hulk. So here you go. So this is a paper by Todd B. Kashdan, Paul Rose, and Frank D. Fincham from the Journal for Personal Assessment from 2004. Curiosity and exploration, facilitating positive subjective experiences and personal growth opportunities. Long story short, this study concluded that the degree to which people are curious directly relates to personal growth opportunities. It also determines how deep of a connection is developed when you encounter someone new. Let's say a new girl or boy comes to your class, or in my lab, we have a new person joining my lab. If I don't care, if I'm not curious, I'm like, okay, who's fine, go on with it. We are not forming a relationship. I am not, like, honestly, if I come the next day, I probably won't even remember his or her name. But if I sit with them and say, hi, what's your name? Do you like tea? Do you like coffee? Where did you study? What do you do? Do you like BTS? I mean, like any question you ask, that is because you're curious about them. And that strengthens your relationship, right? And it's a positive experience. Being curious very rarely like leads to a negative experience unless you're a cat. And that too only if you're in a proverb. That usually doesn't work out. It's okay. It's a proverbs usually it's just hearsay. Let's go to point number 3. Hold on, let me cut that phone. Curiosity gives you a greater presence of meaning and satisfaction in life. Now, the most important point about living is that you get a satisfaction in life. You have a feeling of, okay, I had a good day. I lived a good life. You want to look back and say, I don't have much regrets, right? Curiosity gives you that. Okay. And how do we know that? From this brilliant article published in 2007 by Todd B. Kashdan, we just met him in the previous one, which says, we found that on days when they are more curious, people high in trait curiosity reported more frequent growth-oriented behaviors, greater presence of meaning, search for meaning, and life satisfaction. Greater trait curiosity and greater curiosity on a given day also predicted greater persistence of meaning in life from one day into the next. They proved scientifically that people who are curious, and even if not all the time, at least on one particular day, if they're curious, then there is growth-oriented behavior. And there is more search for meaning. There is more satisfaction in life. There's nothing more satisfying than you being curious about something and finding the answer at the end of a search. It's like a treasure hunt. And for me, every day I find something like, oh my God, it's amazing. I did not know that. And then at the end of it, when I get the answer, like, oh man, today was a good day. I learned this. TIL. A lot of people ask me about the Sunday morning quizzes and how I come across these facts and how I come across all these things that I put through in the paper. So there's 2 types of research. So there's active research and passive research. So active research is when you go towards a goal, right? For example, that is my paper on Duchenne muscular dystrophy, in which we had a particular goal to show the inheritance of the genetic disorder from the grandmother to mother to the child. Now, this was active research. And during that research, I find things. Passive research is when I'm just doing my daily things and I come across something, I'm like, oh, that's interesting. How did that come into being? For example, tennis. We all know that in tennis, it starts with love all, right? It's a lovely way to start anything. Love all. But did you ever think why it's love all, and why don't they just say zero? So here's the interesting thing. In France, the zero is known as l'œuf, the egg. Okay, œuf, or I hope I'm pronouncing this right. My mom and Akila are watching. Œuf is egg, and l'œuf is the egg. And they would say egg 15, and that is love 15, and that became love, and that's why we keep saying love all, love 15, love 30, love 45, which sounds like one of those games where Roger Federer is in full flow. That's how it is. Yeah. Anyway, so that is passive research, where you come across something, you didn't know that there's going to be something at the end of it, and you come across information. Now, just like that, I discover information on a daily basis, and I note it down, or it's in my brain. And when I sit down to make a quiz for the next week, half of it is passive research, half of it is active research. So of the 10 questions, at least 6 of them will be based on things which I already knew. And then I will sit down and do research for the rest of the 4. If it takes me about 9 to 10 hours to set a quiz, those 10 questions, I spend about 2 hours on those 6 questions, which I already know. Then I spend 8 hours on those 4 questions, which I have to make by myself. Every single quiz that comes on a Sunday has at least 1 or 2 facts, which I did not know prior to that. And I hope sincerely that everybody who does a quiz, there's at least 1 fact that you didn't know either. Now, there are a lot of people who message me later and say, oh, thank you, I did not know this, so I went ahead and I Googled it and I discovered it's amazing. That's what makes me really happy, because I know that they followed up on it. I have inflicted the spirit of inquiry on them. Now, curiosity improves brain health. We already spoke about that, right? How the brain's neural impulses get peaked when you become curious. This too is a study by Celeste Kidd and Benjamin Hayden from Neuron 2015 paper. It's called The Psychology and Neuroscience of Curiosity. Let me quote. It also seems that curiosity activates learning systems in the brain. In the domain of development, we can infer that curiosity is critical for learning, and it reflects both external features and internal representations of one's own knowledge. Let's go to the next one. So this is a lovely quote by Lloyd Alexander. We learn more by looking for the answer to a question and not finding it than we do from learning the answer itself. This is so true. Literally every single time I go on Wikipedia, right? I usually don't find what I want, but I then get sidetracked by all those other blue hyperlinks, and I find so many different things which I didn't know existed in the first place. Okay, and you learn more from that. So don't give up if you haven't found an answer. In the process of finding that answer, you're going to learn so much more. So every time looks like you hit a dead end, don't give up. Remember, you're learning more, and the next day it's going to give you far more opportunities to learn something even more. Let's go to FOMO. That is the fear of missing out. I do sometimes have FOMO. If you don't know what's FOMO, it is a state of mental or emotional strain caused by the fear of missing out, a compulsive concern that one might miss an opportunity or satisfying event. So when you're eternally curious, this is a major problem, right? Especially if you're an eternal curious friend who wants to know where your friend was. And like, hey, you are not seen on WhatsApp for the last 2 hours. Where were you? I didn't see you on PUBG also. What are you doing? Stuff like that. So this fear of missing out is another way in which your curiosity manifests itself. And there's a nice way of you to channel that FOMO into something that's more constructive, is by looking for answers. Now, right now, there's only one way in which you can look for answers. That is to go online and then hit away on the keys and do your Google searches. But not necessarily. So that is me, the one on the left side of the screen, if you can't tell the difference. So this was me in the 11th grade with my good friend and best friend, Ashwin Sitaraman, in our school Vikasa in Madurai. So this was us at the heights of inquiry. There were only two of us in the entire class. ISC Biology 11th standard was just two of us. Me on the left and Ashwin on the right. We were the most inquisitive, curious kids you can ever come across. Right? Well, you know where I am right now and what I do. So you can say that the curiosity and inquisitiveness got me somewhere. And now I'm going to tell you where he is. He is, again, a PhD in molecular genetics from the University of Toronto, and he is working on the biological function of a gene in nematodes. That's him now. He looks much better also now. Okay, so he's in the University of Toronto. Both of us, because of our innate inquisitive nature and curiosity, we became molecular geneticists. And why? Because we know that DNA neither cares nor knows. DNA just is. And we dance to its music. Also, we both are musicians. And both of us cannot dance. So, both of us, because of our natural curiosity and inquisitiveness, became researchers. No, not all of you are going to become researchers, and not all of you should become researchers. There are some of you who are meant to be or are more focused towards certain things. Fine by me. But you can be curious in that field. You can be inquisitive in that. For me, it was going to be biology always. So this quote is by Richard Dawkins. And if you don't know who he is, this is Richard Dawkins. He's an evolutionary biologist. And 1976, he wrote a book called The Selfish Gene, in which he coined a term, which is an evolutionary principle. It explains the spread of ideas and cultural phenomena. Now, that term refers to cultural analogs to genes in that they self-replicate, mutate, and respond to selective pressures. So what can this be, right? So think of something, a cultural item which self-replicates, meaning it just spreads around the world on its own. It can mutate, meaning it can become different versions of itself, and responds to selective pressure, meaning if you like it, you pass it on. If you don't like it, you don't pass it on. I know it sounds very sciencey and it sounds, it's evolutionary biology and all, but you know what it's called? That is called a meme, M-E-M-E. And you know what a meme is? Yep, these are all memes. You cannot go for one day on social media without seeing at least one meme. A meme is a way of taking a cultural item and putting a different content on it or a context on it and making it sensible in a different context. Now, all of you millennials will understand. I'm going to have a tough time explaining this to parents, but here is how it is. Let's take that picture of Ajit on the top right corner, okay? Now, there are no words. That's a beautiful meme. There are no words on that picture. But instantly you understand the context and the concept of the meme. Like, Ajit is shown tablets and he's happy. And then he's shown a syringe and he's not happy. Literally everybody feels that way. You would rather take a tablet than get a syringe, like, in your butt. Perfect meme, perfect representation. How about the one on Sendil? Why doesn't an auto rickshaw drive itself? Excellent. He's thinking, he's like, oh, and that's a brilliant question. It's called an auto rickshaw. So technically, shouldn't it like drive itself? So stuff like that. So these are memes. Now here's the thing. Literally like how Richard Dawkins put it, exactly as how we study in evolutionary principles. This is how it works. All these, for example, the Ajit picture, you can mutate it. You can put in different context. You can put in different pictures and you can propagate it. If it's a good meme, people will forward it. If it's not a good meme, people are going to press delete and it's not going to live. There have been so many memes which have died. I mean, there are hundreds and hundreds of memes that you and I have seen which you will never see again because it was not a great meme. Then there are memes that live forever. For example, Vadivel memes. I mean, they timeless, eternal. And that's how you bring about knowledge in the present world. Now, a lovely meme, by the way, those who get it. So, needing help sometimes doesn't make you weak. There is much strength in admitting that you need it. The process of getting this information when you're curious also means that you have to ask for help. And there's nothing wrong in asking for help. You don't have to have a spirit of inquiry solely with yourself. You can ask for help for someone else, right? So just keep calm and ask for help. Sometimes you do get lost. Sometimes you feel like you're wandering about. So obviously there's this lovely quote from the amazing J.R.R. Tolkien from The Lord of the Rings. Not all those who wander are lost. It's true. You are wandering, but you're not lost. Remember that. How about this quote from Mark Victor Hansen? You control your future, your destiny. What you think about comes about. Now, this thing about future and destiny, lots of people have doubts about it. So let me give you this. There are those who say fate is something beyond our command, that destiny is not our own. But I know better. Our fate lives within us. You only have to be brave enough to see it. Brilliant quote. And it seems like it's from Martin Luther King Jr., Mahatma Gandhi, or somebody of that aspect. But you know who said this? This was Merida from the movie Brave. This was that quote from her. And I think it's one of the strongest. It's like brilliant women-led revolutionary movie that was. It is fantastic. Only fate, our fate lives within us. You only have to be brave enough to see it, which is true. If this quote is too long and you think that I need something shorter, then there is no secret ingredient. It's just you, which is what Poe told us in the amazing Kung Fu Panda documentary. What? That's not a documentary? Oh, sorry. Okay. This is one of my all-time favorite quotes. I see now that the circumstances of one's birth are irrelevant. It is what you do with the gift of life that determines who you are. Now, this is one of those quotes that belongs in a religious book, in a book of mythology. You would expect it to be from some amazing work of wisdom. Well, it is. This is from the Pokemon movie in 1998. So this is Mewtwo talking about humans and how that it does not matter whether you were born in a very rich family or poor family, or you were born with privilege, or you were born in a foreign country. No. It is what you do with the gift of life that determines who you are. Remember, Mewtwo knew what was coming. And finally, it is not who I am underneath, but what I do that defines me. Yeah, a lot of people know that I'm a big fan of the Batman. And if there's one line that kind of defines everything, this is it. It is not who I am underneath, but what I do that defines me. This has brought us to the end of this. Hopefully small. I just realized it's 50 minutes. Right now, we are in unprecedented times. The coronavirus is driving us all mad. And we are actually in the lab trying to figure out a kit to find out the RNA of the coronavirus in less than 2 hours. So stay safe wherever you are. So I would like to give you a few instructions so that you can be safe. First one, avoid public transport. Try to use private transport wherever possible. Avoid unnecessary travel. Avoid touching handrails if possible. Don't touch any surface, especially metal surfaces. Seek medical advice early, right? If you have symptoms of cough or cold or something, don't be afraid to seek medical advice early. Stay indoor if you feel ill. Don't go out. Just sit, sleep, watch Netflix or something. Don't go out. Don't touch your face and eyes frequently. I hope I have not done that today. I usually do. I sanitize my hands. But yeah, make sure you don't touch your face and eyes frequently. More importantly, maintain physical distance. That's what my mom also says. It's very important that we don't socially distance from other people. This is the time where we have to reach out and tell people, not physically, but over the internet. You have Telegram, WhatsApp and all. Socially be active, but physically be distant. வடிவில் மாதிரி ஒரு 6 அடி கம்போட தெரியுங்க. யார் பக்கத்துல வந்தாலும் சார் maintain 6 feet distance. These are beautiful memes are thanks to Corona Speak. from Twitter. You can follow them for more. And that's it from me. So thank you so much to ma'am and the entire staff for being amazing as always and letting me do this. It was a lot of fun getting ready for this. I really miss doing the real life sessions that I do in your school. I love the energy that your students have. I love what the hospitality and the amazing coffee they give. And I miss that. I hope that I'm able to get come in person and do that as well. But this is me saying thank you. And I guess now it's over to Jude.
Hello, sir.
Oh, இன்னும் இருக்கீங்களாங்க? Hi.
The session was so good, and the way you expressed through memes and other things, and about curiosity also. And you said that curiosity is not only enough; the students should act after that, right?
The spirit of inquiry. Yes.
Yeah,
The cycle of inquiry.
Exactly. And we have received few questions from our students, sir.
Yay.
Shall I start?
Yes, please, go ahead. By the way, students, if you're watching and you have not drunk water in the last 45 minutes, go drink your water now. Yes. Yes, Jude.
Okay. Just now I had my water. So, what is the best habit that you possess?
Me?
Yeah.
Brushing my teeth. No, okay, wait. Best habit that I possess. Oh, I collect books and I read books. That's an amazing habit. That is a habit which I picked up from my grandfather and grandmother, Winifred and Charlotte. And that's a habit which I am really glad that I got from them. The books that I have. Which, if you ask my mother, is not a great habit because we have too many shelves full of books, but it's okay.
What can be the best contribution by a student to our society?
Oh, wow. Is to be a thinker and then be a free thinker. Our society is a democratic society. A democratic society is where your input is important, where your ideas, where what you think is important. And remember, according to the Constitution of India, we have the freedom of speech, right? So you have the rights to talk about what you believe in and tell people what you believe in. Okay? So don't let anybody tell you that you are just a child, you don't know anything. You might know more about something than anybody else. There has been multiple studies on how people who have read books such as Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings and all, kids have a better understanding of the democratic system than adults who have not read those books. Right? So if you're a person who has read a few books or watched the Harry Potter movies, I'm pretty sure all of you have a certain idea of how a good world should be, about the bad and evil and versus the good and, divine. So make sure that you are heard. So you will be an asset to the society, however small you are.
Okay, good, sir. And if you have to interview one person, who will you choose? If you have to interview a person, who will you choose?
Interview a person, who will I choose? Oh, it can be dead or alive, I'm guessing. Anybody I can interview. Oh, that's an interesting question. Okay, I'll tell you who I would choose. I would love to talk to Carl Sagan. Carl Sagan is a physicist who behind the cosmos, and he was a beautiful man who was responsible for a lot of things. I would love to sit and talk with him for hours on end.
That was good, sir. And scientist, quiz master, and author, which is your favorite role?
I am sitting in the lab, so I think I'm technically supposed to say scientist. The question is, which is your favorite role, right?
Yeah, which is your favorite role among all these things?
I am going to say nota, none of the above. Because my favorite role is of being a musician. Because that's something that it gives me so much joy, even if it's just me taking guitar and playing the same 3 chords. That is the role as a musician, as on stage, performing for an audience or playing guitar, even if it's just one kid on the street. That is the role I enjoy the most.
Oh, great, sir. And which invention do you think has made you a happier man?
Well, right now, Zoom is an excellent invention that made me really happy. Which invention? You know what? I'm going to be a proper millennial. I'll tell you two things.
Sure, sure, sure.
First is the internet. So yeah, we have to be thankful to CERN for that. It has made me happier because I could reach out to more people. And like my grandfather, grandmother were as knowledgeable as I am, if not more knowledgeable than I am, but they didn't have the means to communicate that to people other than their family. I now know all of you, and you are able to see this. I mean, across boundaries and time, because it's going to be on YouTube, is thanks to the internet. So that's made me a lot happy. And the second thing that made me most happy is cheese. I love cheese. Yeah, who doesn't like cheese? Yeah. Best thing, cheese is the best. Any type of cheese, give me anything. I'm happy with cheese. I would just eat cheese by itself. Okay, I'm talking too much about cheese. Sorry.
And did you face any difficulties to reach this position? If yes, what are they? And what are your sources? And how do you ask such thought-provoking questions?
See, that is paragraph question. Okay.
Yeah, okay. Let me.
Another 40
Okay, let
minutes.
me.
No. I get what you're saying. So yes, it has. First of all, yes, it's very tough, as it is for everyone, especially for a kid from Madurai called Berty Ashley, who nobody would ever think would achieve. Yes, it has been really tough. My sources are obviously my family, my friends, my partner, the people who are invested in me purely because they want me to have the best or be the best that I am. So I draw my energy from them, from Tata Pati, Amma Appa, my brother, my sister-in-law, Akila, everybody around. And sometimes it need not be somebody who is your friend. It could be that person who's with you right now. For example, right now it's you, Jude. Hey, Jude, because you are helping me be a better person right now and are helping me do this better. And I'm doing a better job at this because you are there. So I guess that's one thing. And another thing is my constant sense of curiosity and inquiry, which is driving me till today. Just not the fact that I've written multiple books, I've done 180 quizzes. I am looking forward to the next one. If somebody says, what is your favorite? I've been asked, which is your favorite quiz question that you've done? My answer is always going to be the next one. So that's what drives me.
That was so great, sir. And have you met Siddhartha Basu?
Oh, have I? Oh, yeah, multiple times.
Okay.
Yes, I worked with him for 2 seasons. I met him professionally and I also met him personally. We actually had a chat about a couple of weeks back, and we were talking about different things. But yeah, he's an amazing person. He's a godfather of quizzing. And one of my favorite memories is I made my mother's dream come true. In Ninglu Mellalamur Kodi, before Surya became the host, we had a trial run, tech run. And because they wanted to try it out on someone, they said, Berty, can you find someone? And very coincidentally, my mother was in the area in Chennai. So I got her. I didn't tell her anything. We walked into the room and there's Surya in front of her. And she's like, oh, it was Surya. Okay. Then she turns and there's Siddharth Basu saying, hello, Mrs. Ashley. And she lost it. She's like, her jaw just dropped like, oh, Siddhartha Basu. I'm like, hello, Surya. He's like, Surya la parola. Siddhartha Basu da yamma. So, I mean, like, he's amazing. So, I still remember that very well. So, Amma, if you're watching, everybody knows about this story.
Sure. Okay, sir, that was so nice. And we know you like Batman most since you had thing. Why is it? Since we have lots and lots of character, why Batman? Why you like the Batman?
Oh man. So here's the thing: the Dark Knight is a human being. Everybody else, Superman, Green Lantern, they're all superpowers because of privileges which come with either birth or because of some like a radioactive spider bit somebody or they are from a different planet. Batman is a human being. I mean, other than the fact he's got lots of money, so he can have devices, most of the problems he gets through in actual situations is because of his willpower, his intelligence, and the fact that he can outthink or psychologically outthink his way of a situation. Right? Of course, he's got the Batmobile and all that, but other than that, at heart, he's a detective. DC Comics, Detective Comics, right? He's known as a great detective. And like, it's basically, he's a human being whose only superpower is his willpower and his knowledge. And I identify with that. And also I like bats. So yeah.
And the last question, sir.
Oh.
This was from a student personally, like how to overcome the pressure from parents, relatives, or friends, whoever it is, about choosing their career. For example, the parents or relatives might choose their career without asking the students, right? Their children. So, how to overcome that pressure? This was the question.
So, yeah, so parental pressure and peer pressure, they are very, very, it's an ingrained problem in our society. You have to talk your way out of this. You have to believe in yourself. Uh, Unfortunately, in this particular instance, I cannot help you because I had the most amazing set of parents, because both of them understood what I wanted to do and they went along with it, and they're like, உனக்கு பிடிச்சிருக்குன்னா நீ பண்ணு, நாங்க support பண்றோம். So I appreciate that. So I didn't have to go through that problem. There are multiple other problems, but that wasn't there. But I have seen others who have overcome that problem simply because they were able to prove that what they love is what they will excel at. One. Two, tell your parents on how that can be converted into something that becomes an employment or job. For example, let me tell you, if you say, Amma, நான் வந்து video game design பண்ண போறேன், right? Now your mother is going to think, okay, he's going to make something like Mario Brothers or PUBG or something. He's going to waste his time sitting in front of the computer. What you have to convince them is that designing video games is an art form. It's not easy, and that you have skills for it. And more importantly, people are paying millions of dollars for people who invent a good video game. Right? Nintendo, for example, if you come up with just a good storyline, you get $1 million easily. So your parents have to be convinced about two things. One, that you are doing something which involves skill and knowledge. And two, that you're not wasting your life, that you will get some monetary benefit out of it. Right? Now, that's what I did. So I told them, like, biology is my thing. I love biology. I love science. And biotechnology is the thing to do right now. Because in the future, people are going to be talking about genetic therapy and everything. For example, can I point it out right now? That thing over there, that's called a PCR. That's okay. This is easier. That's a polymerase chain reaction machine. Okay. It's basically a Xerox machine for DNA. You put in like a bit of DNA in the middle, it gives you multiple 3 million copies of the DNA. When I was in school, that thing was a dream. Only about 6 or 7 people in the entire country had it. Now I have one on my desktop. Right? Now, so great. When I was in school, I knew that was the future. I knew that DNA was the future, that genes were in the future. That's why I worked myself through it, and now I am talking about it. So if you have to convince your mom and dad that you know what you're doing, there are two things. Remember, show them that you know what it's about, the problem that arises with those things, the knowledge and the skill are required for that, which also, by the way, helps because you also learn what are the obstacles in front of you, so you know what you have to pass. Finally, obviously, everything comes down to money. You have to tell them, yes, this eventually will translate to something which means I can make a living out of it. So that's what's important.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. And just now we saw a question from chat box. Okay. Like, since you showed Hulk pictures and all, they are saying, like, is that gamma radiation or is that possible in biological thing? Since they have shown all those DNA and all those things.
Okay, so you see that yellow sign over there? So that says caution biohazard. So basically that's what it is. So here's the thing. Mutation, which is the secret of all Hulk and Blue Beetle and Spider-Man and all, is not a predictable outcome, right? Gamma radiations, UV radiations, all of them have problems. They will cause mutations, right? But they will not cause the mutations that are going to be always good for you. Like if you become a huge giant like the Hulk, okay. Or if you can climb walls like a spider, okay. But here are things. How do you know that is going to be the effect? Like what if you become big and green like the Hulk, but then your lifespan is only about 20 hours or something? Because that's what happens. For example, we have something called ultraviolet rays. Okay, the ozone layer, which is on top of us, it filters out the ultraviolet rays from the sun. That's why the ozone hole is a big problem. Now, UV rays, if you go today and put phone sanitization, stuff like that, they'll say UV ray sanitizer. Or if you have one of those Aqua Pure or one of those AquaGuard machines, they'll have a UV bulb inside. So that is also a type of radiation. So what UV does, it causes something called thymine dimer. Okay, so there are 4 letters in the DNA, like A, T, C, and G. It has to always be A and T and C and G. UV causes the T and the T to bind to each other. They're called thymine dimers. Now we know that happens all the time, and that's what kills off bacteria, right? Now that's why you shouldn't be there next to a UV bulb. So you shouldn't be near a UV bulb because that can cause skin cancer and so on. Now here's the thing: you could say yes, I could become invisible. That could happen, probably, but the chances of it becoming dangerous and worse is far more than you become getting a superhero or superpower. Which again brings me to the point about Batman. All you have to do is read books and do physical exercise, and you can become Batman. You don't have to rely on mutations.
Yeah, that was good. I hope the child got the answer.
By the way, so I was seeing all those pictures that you had put up front, and I couldn't recognize myself. I have lost like 14 kilos in the pandemic, and like if somebody sees the video now, they're like, "In the photo la வேற யாரோ காமிச்சாங்களே." So yeah.
Actually, that design was done by my colleague, Mr. Sriram.
Well done, Sriram.
He'll give the vote of thanks now, sir.
What a segue! Very nice segue. Well done.
Yeah.
Thanks, dude.
1 minute, sir. Yeah.
Hi, sir.
Hi, Sriram. Nice designs. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I love the multiple designs. Version 1, version 2, version 3.
Thank you so much, sir. So, inquiry is more important than answers. For it is the question we asked and the way in which we asked them that defines us. It's a great pleasure to deliver the thank you note. Your vibrant presence has ignited our minds. On behalf of Pushpalata Schools, Pushpalata Vidya Mandir, thank you so much, sir, for spending your valuable time with us. We are assured to be in the pursuit of inquiry and be curious about things around us. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thanks to every single one of you who's worked towards this. This is an amazing channel. The stuff that you're doing is amazing. I saw the other videos that I'm in the pantheon of greats. It's a great honor for me. All the staff who are sitting at home, who are responsible for this, all of you guys, the guy who's put up the new knowledge series instead of the reflection series on top, the guy who did that, congratulations, well done. It means a lot, and I can see the amount of effort that's going in for the students. So not many schools go out of the way to do things like this. So I really appreciate Pushpalata schools for this. To correspondent ma'am and principal ma'am, well done. And thank you for making me part of this. It has been an absolute pleasure and an honor. And I hope to see more videos from you guys. And I am subscribing. And if you're watching and you have not yet subscribed to this channel and you have a child at home, subscribe and share now.
Thank you so much, sir. Bye. So you're watching Pushpalata LearnEd live channel knowledge series. If you like this video, just give a thumbs up and subscribe to Pushpalata LearnEd live. This is Sriram and Mr. Jude signing off. Take care. Bye-bye. Meet you in next series.